Max Verstappen, Esteben Ocon reveals what Force India told him to do before Red Bull crash. Ocon was in last place and had already been lapped by the Red Bull driver when their cars came together on turn 1. The Frenchman was able to carry on as normal following the incident and came home in 15th, but Verstappen spun off the track. Had held a reasonable lead over Lewis Hamilton to that point but saw his hopes of back-to-back race wins ended in an instant. Both drivers have since blamed each other, while footage has emerged of the Dutchman pushing Ocon in the Interlagos paddock. Ocon has now revealed the instructions had given him in the immediate build-up to his and Verstappen's crash. "It's disappointing not to score when we had good pace," Ocon said, when asked for his thoughts on the penultimate race of the campaign. "I had made some good overtakes throughout the race, but it all came to nothing after the contact with Max. He came out of the pits, I stayed behind him for nearly 2 laps but I was much faster than him and the team advised me to unlap myself. I went on the outside at turn 1, the same move I made on Fernando Alonso, and on many others before, but Max didn't give me any space. Once I was beside him I couldn't just disappear, so we collided. But it was my corner and I had the right to the space. I was saddened by his behavior after the race. He was very aggressive and the guys from the FIA had to intervene. That's not the way to handle these things." Red Bull chief Christian Horner, meanwhile, backed Verstappen, telling Sports, "I think has been pretty restrained, to be honest with you. It's cost him a Grand Prix victory. He's driven his heart out with a damaged car. Esteban was lucky to get away with a push. Emotions are running high. I told him just get yourself under control on the cool-down lap, because he's lost a victory through no fault of his own today." Related articles: Max Verstappen, Esteben Ocon lucky Red Bull driver only pushed him, Christian Horner. The pair collided at the Brazilian Grand Prix, with Verstappen leading the race and seemingly on course for victory at Interlagos. Ocon failed to get out of his way as the Dutchman tried to lap him and they clashed, sending him spinning off the track. Verstappen lost the lead to eventual winner but recovered to claim a creditable second-place finish. However, he was furious with the result and tempers boiled over after the race had finished. The incident has been reported to stewards and both drivers are under investigation. However, Horner leapt to the defense of his driver and said Ocon can count himself lucky it was only a shove. "I think Max has been pretty restrained to be honest with you," he told Sports. "It cost him a Grand Prix victory. He's driven his heart out with a damaged car and Esteban was lucky to get away with just a push to be honest with you. Emotions are running high. I told him to just get yourself under control on the cool-down lap because he has lost a race victory through no fault of his own. Hugely frustrating for him and everyone at the team. We had Mercedes on the ropes, we had passed Ferrari. So hugely frustrating for everybody to lose a victory due to a back marker." Ocon was labeled an idiot by Verstappen, who spoke to reporters immediately after the race. But he insists he did nothing and claimed the Red Bull star was so enraged that he wanted to punch him. "I was really surprised by the behavior of Max afterwards, with the FIA having to intervene," Ocon said. "He pushed me and wanted to punch me and that is not professional. I'm used to the fights with Max. He's always been the same. It goes back a few years." Race winner and champion Hamilton was also quick to defend Ocon. He said, "I saw it happen and it wasn't something I was surprised by," the Brit said. "I saw them racing. They weren't racing for the same position. Max was able to keep going. Max is a go-get-em kind of guy, and every so often, it wipes you." Related articles: Max Verstappen shoves Esteben Ocon after Brazilian GP clash. Watch shocking moment. Ocon collided with Verstappen when the Dutchman tried to lap him as he closed in on victory in Brazil. Force India driver Ocon failed to get out of the way and sent the Red Bull star spinning off the track, leaving to take the lead and hold on for victory. Verstappen fumed when he spoke to reporters immediately after the race, and his temper boiled over when he was able to confront the Spaniard, as the shocking scenes show. Ocon was such an idiot, he gets taken out while he's being lapped, he said after the race. Scroll down for video of Max Verstappen clash with Esteben Ocon. Ocon claimed even tried to punch him when he was quizzed about the post-race incident, and he insisted he did nothing wrong. I was behind Max for 2 laps. On the first lap, I was a lot faster, and on the second lap, Ocon said, I was a lot faster. The rules say you are allowed to unlap yourself, so that's what I did. I went round the outside. It was the same move I did on Alonso, and on other drivers as I worked my way back up the field, but it didn't work out the same way. I was really surprised by the behavior of Max, afterwards, with the FI having to intervene. He pushed me and wanted to punch me, and that is not professional. I'm used to the fights with Max. He's always been the same. It goes back a few years. Race winner and world champion Hamilton agreed with Ocon after claiming he witnessed a crash. I saw it happen and it wasn't something I was surprised by, the Brit said. I saw them racing. They weren't racing for the same position. Max was able to keep going. Max is a go-get-em kind of guy, and every so often, it wipes you. Verstappen, Ocon and Hamilton will wrap up the 2018 campaign in Abu Dhabi in 2 weeks' time.